I'm John Fogerty. I'm the treasurer of the diocese, and I'm joined by Judy.
I'm Judy Dobson, and I'm the Director of Finance and Administration for the diocese.
And we're going to talk today about our 2024 budget and also a bit about 2023 and how that turned out. So let me start with very high level. We're proposing a budget that's 5.75% higher than last year. There are a number of reasons for this, and obviously we're all subject to an inflationary environment, which is part of it. A couple of other things to mention about 2023. Fortunately, we were able to monetize real estate. That prevented us from having to overdraw our spending policy. We've also had some changes in personnel that are important. Of course, our canon for evangelism left during the year, but now we've added two new positions that offset that. A communications director, which I think we all know is needed, and also an assistant to the canon to the ordinary. But let's talk a little bit more about our endowment and the fact we have not overdrawn it. Judy, could you talk a little bit about the past, how we've avoided overdrawing the endowment?
We have been very fortunate, John. Unfortunately, we did have some closed churches, and rather than let them continue to sit out there and not function, we found some buyers. And this past year, we ended up selling two of our churches. And we also sold one of our church's rectories. So that caused us to have that extra revenue that we needed. And the good news is, because we had that extra revenue, like you said, we didn't have to exceed our spending. In other words, we didn't have to pull out extra from our investments, which is a good thing.
So Judy, this has been a pattern over the past several years. We've kind of been rescued by this, and we had one bequest a few years ago that was completely unexpected. But while all that's good fortune, there is a limit to how long we can keep that up. But for 2024, we are expecting to monetize some additional real estate, and we will not have an overdraw of our spending policy.
That's what we're hoping for. And this piece of property that we're looking at, we've had it since the 1990s. It's land, and it's in a good place where I think a lot of the price we could probably do very well on.
So anything else you want to share with us about where we've been in 23?
Sure. In 2023, it was good news for the college ministry program. We have 5 college ministry programs, and there has been some changes there. We have 2 new chaplains.
Great.
One is Katie Beth Miska, and she is now overseeing the chaplaincy at Old Dominion University. And we also have Amanda Knight. She is now overseeing the chaplaincy at Hampden-Sydney and Longwood College. So that's good.
Great.
And the other thing I have to mention, John, and this is just a side bit, but these chaplains, they travel. And they actually traveled to Chaco for the summer, and they were able to support the staff out there. But just if the staff needed any kind of spiritual guidance or direction, or having any issues on how they can deal with maybe perhaps something going on at the camp, or maybe in their personal life, they could easily were accessible. So we have chaplains that not only stay on campus, but they also go and travel too.
Well, I heard some great things about that. Charlie Bauer is one of the chaplains at William
Yes.
and Mary. So I heard some good reports about that.
Yep.
That's a great program.
And we also had Eileen Walsh, who was at Old Dominion University. She has now since moved on, but one of her things that she did was she did go out there to Chanko this past summer. And we also can't forget about Kyle Mackey, Father Kyle Mackey from Christopher Newport University. He was also out there. The other thing that happened in 2023, which we had a very special guest, and that was the presiding bishop, Bishop Curry came, and we had a revival with him, and he was our special featured preacher. There was also in the fall, the priests had a retreat, and there was a special guest, and that was the former presiding bishop, Catherine Jeffords Shorey. She was also out there at the clergy conference. And the theme for the clergy conference was fitting in with the bishop's initiatives, creation care.
That's terrific. Terrific.
Good. Oh, one thing I have to mention about 2023 yet is the DCDI, and that's the Diocesan Church Development Institute. They had their first graduating class of 16 people. So we're happy to hear that. And there's, I think, 2 more groups of people going through it. And we're going to have another graduation this year, actually, 2024. And for those of you who are not familiar with the DCDI, it's a leadership training program on developing spiritual community and organizational life of congregations. So what's going on in 2024?
Well, in 2024, continuing all the things that you talked about, we are increasing the funding for college ministry, which has not been done for quite some time. And we're certainly, as we'll talk about a little bit more later, providing adequate support for Chanko, and also some building issues, not only at Chanko, but in some other locations. So it'll be continuing the theme of supporting the Bishop's 5 initiatives.
Yeah.
So, Judy, let's talk a little bit about the ups and downs of the budget. I said it's going to be about $3 million. That's about $164,000 greater than last year, or a 5.75% increase. There are a number of different changes there and ins and outs. Could you talk a little bit about those?
Sure, and let's talk about just the programs that the churches support, because some of the ups are funded by restricted funds, and some are because we have to have support from our churches. So let's just talk about those. And I think we just mentioned about the college ministry programs.
Right.
There's so each one of those programs are getting a $5,000 increase. And I think you also just mentioned about Chanko. We talked about the chaplains going out to Chanko. They are getting an increase of $45,000, and they also have some new equipment that they need, and some repairs on some buildings, and they are also getting money to support that.
And on that, Judy, the repairs we're talking about are really aimed at health and safety. It's not just, the latest gadget. These are things that really are necessary for the operation of the facility. Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that people that stay out at Chanko are it's a safe environment to do so.
Right.
And so we're going to try to look at some repairs and taking care of some mold issues and that sort of thing. So the other thing that we're supporting more is that maybe most of our churches don't realize, and that's that when they give to the diocese, well, guess what? The diocese also has a pledge to the Episcopal Church.
Right.
And that is increasing this year. It's 2024 now, and that's going up by $32,000. And again, those ministries at the Episcopal Church, they not only stay, they're worldwide ministries.
Right.
So just the church's pledge, it not only stays, some of it stays in the diocese to help the diocese, but some of it goes worldwide. So I think that's
And that,
wonderful.
Judy, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's 15% of our revenue, is it not?
Yes, that's correct. And some of the smaller things that we're having, programs that were taking place next year is including a discernment retreat. So that right now we have at least 30 churches in transition. And for those who don't know, there is unfortunately a priest shortage. And if you think you're called to the priesthood, you need to make sure that you can attend this retreat coming up, because it might make a decision for you whether or not you think you could be a priest or not. So I would urge people to be on the lookout for that. I believe that's going to be happening sometime in the spring, late spring, something like that. The other thing that's happening is some of our smaller churches, they are having trouble getting priests because there is a priest shortage, and we have a small amount in the budget to help those smaller churches with supply funds.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that every church who wants to have a church service, wants to have a Eucharist, can do so.
Great.
So
that's really important support. So anything else? We mentioned we had some personnel changes. That kind of washed out equally. A little bit of savings there, but not a big difference. Right.
Right. I think there was some. As you said earlier, we are hiring a director of communications, which is much needed, and we have already hired in November this past year assistant for Canon Hoffman, which is also much needed, and James Harlan, he was the canon for evangelism. He took a new position, and he's now in Paris. And we had a couple others that found new roles for them. So all that basically was a wash between our employees. So there really wasn't a change there.
Well, we also, of course, had a COLA, cost of living adjustment of 3.2%.
Yeah.
And there was also some increases in benefit costs as well.
Yes, there was about an 8% increase in healthcare costs. But like you said earlier, that was a wash. It pretty much equaled out with people leaving and new people coming on board.
Well, great. So let's talk a little bit about where our money goes. You can see the pie chart here. Judy, of course, last year, I think, helpfully realigned everything so that our major captions for expenditures match up against the bishop's initiatives. So I'm happy to say that the allocations of where we're spending our money haven't changed a whole lot from last year. You can see here the largest piece is congregational development, which it only makes sense it would be when we're here to support congregations. Rule of life coming in at 21%, evangelism at 23%, or right, 22%. And you see here, creation care is a relatively small amount, but a very important one. And finally, the beloved community at 3%, which I think we'd all like to see increase, which is another reason why we keep examining our expenses and looking for ways to increase our our revenue. Some of the things that are included here, creation care also includes the rent and the utilities and that kind of thing. So that's not all just programs for environmental programs, but those are things that certainly our footprint impacts creation care.
Yeah.
So that's a very high level look at where our money goes. So now let's talk a little bit about where does it come from. Well, most of it comes from you. Half of it is contributions from our parishes, and you can see here about $1.5 million is budgeted of the $3 million. And we do have about $800,000 budgeted income from our endowment, and that is calculated as 5% of a moving average of the market value of the portfolio. That is up a bit.
Yes, it is.
Thank goodness.
From last year.
And just point out that although we don't have the final figures yet for the endowment, we are confident that there's a significant recovery from the big losses, well, I should say unrealized losses, that we had last year. You'll see here also the sale of real estate. In the past years, as we talked about earlier, we had actually budgeted for a deficit, which never materialized because we covered it with real estate. We decided to change that this year and go ahead and budget for the sale of real estate. So that's what you're seeing here, about 14% of our revenue. Now, chances are, Judy, I think we might actually sell it for more than what we got here.
Yes.
We were just being very conservative. So that's where our money comes from. But maybe, Judy, you could share with us a little deeper dive into where our contributions come from.
Sure. I'm going to talk a little bit about your contributions to the diocese. We ask each parish to give the diocese 10% to carry on our programming. And we understand that not every parish out there can give 10%.
That's right.
And whatever you can give to the diocese, we appreciate that. And whatever you give is enough for us. And we'll work with it, and we'll keep continuing to do programming, and we'll keep trying to turn it back to help you and your church and carry out your mission.
So, Judy, maybe I totally agree with that. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about how giving breaks down by size of parish.
Sure. What I did, if you see on the slide, we have parishes out there that actually have contributions of over $500,000. And of those, there's 11 parishes in our diocese that have contributions, that pledge and plate like that. And those parishes that have that kind of pledge and plate, they give an average of about 8% to the diocese. And we also have parishes, I broke it down on the slide, you can see that between $200,000 and $499,000. And there's 17 parishes in that category. And they give about 6.4% to the diocese, range anywhere from $4,000 to $45,000. And then we have parishes that take in only $1,000. They reported only $1,000 and up to $199,000. And we have 64, this is the largest category, and we have 64 parishes, and they report about 7% of their pledge and plate to the diocese. And they give anywhere from, some parishes don't give any money, and some of those parishes, they give up to $21,000. And there's 5 parishes out there that we really don't know what their pledge and plate is, but they gave $14,000 to the diocese. So Again, we have 100 churches in our diocese. Some parishes don't give much, and some can't give any. But again, what you can give us, we appreciate, and it's enough. Thank you. John, so now that we talked about 2022, 2023, we're looking ahead at 2024. Tell us more about what do you see beyond 2024?
Well, I think we're still facing an inflationary environment, but thank goodness it's come down quite a bit from where it was last year. And of course, as Judy just talked about, with half of our revenues coming from you folks in the parishes, that your financial health is essential to supporting the diocese. And so we're keenly aware of that, and I think we all need to work together to improve all of our financial health. This is not one and the other.
Right.
Chanco, as we talked about a little bit earlier, has some financial needs. We're continuing to support that, particularly in making sure the facilities are safe and sound and ready for the programs that we're doing. And I think that there will continue to be financial need there. One of the things we're doing at Chanco is that we're undertaking a comprehensive maintenance plan, so we have a better picture on what our long-term maintenance issues are. Of course, investment performance is also an issue, and as we've seen, that can go up and down and up and down. And we all get different views of where the markets are going, but I'd like us all to focus on we are really concerned with long-term results and growth. The day-to-day up and down and hysteria that you'll hear, or euphoria, really isn't what we need to focus on. This is a very long-term investment plan. We talked quite a bit earlier about monetizing our real estate. The diocese is a diocese. It's a religious organization. We're not a real estate company. And so we are continuing to press on doing what we do best and getting out of the real estate business. And that's also good for our financial results. So we'll continue to do that, but that's not a long-term source of income for us. It's something that's really helped us through the last few years, but it will reach a point where we've completed that.
Right.
And lastly, I think over the next several years, we are undercapitalized for what we need to be doing. And we're going to need to find additional ways to raise money and to enhance our endowment. And I can assure you we'll all be working on that. And we appreciate all that you do to support our diocese.
And we want to support you too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I'm sure we've been through this at a fairly high level. You may have a lot of questions or comments about this. We'd love to hear from you. And I believe Judy will be at the council. I will too. We can do that live, or please send us an email, get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to talk with you. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.